Good morning, everyone. My name is Dave Leland. I am the co-founder and CEO of WireWallet, and just it's amazing to be here this morning. So I have made my career building against incumbents from maintaining who profit from control of a system. So I've come from different industries. First, publishing, then logistics, and now finance. But in each of these, it was the same pattern, disrupting the incumbents who maintain control. And what scares the incumbents isn't the new competition. It's when people who've always controlled the system realize they can't take away your buy button anymore. That's when things actually start to change. Let me be clear. This presentation here is not a product pitch. And if you came for a sales pitch, you're going to be disappointed. If you came for a reason to care, you're in the right place. The wallet is not the headline. The shift is. And I want to convince you of one thing this morning. If there's one thing you take away from our time here with me this morning, it's this. The real battle is not Web 2 versus Web 3. It's about centralized control versus human agency. So let's talk about the real villain all of us are facing. Middlemen and lack of transparency in finance and in social. You heard Jamie make mention of that. And most systems are built today so that you only see the outcome. You don't see the truth in real time. This is all about control. It's about leverage. It's about who gets to see what. And the problem's the same everywhere. You don't get the truth in real time. You get a statement, you get a feed, you get a report. Opacity is their business model. That's the part we need to stop tolerating. Centralized systems are what give the villains their real power. Just look at what happened to this event here. A community forced to change its name. Why? Because a third party owns the rails. The community didn't make this decision. Instead, somebody else with total control did. So let's talk about the future of finance. The entire financial world is being transformed by Web 3 technology in real time as we are watching. Gary Gensler is gone. The SEC's war on the American Web 3 industry is over. The NASDAQ is getting tokenized. The New York Stock Exchange announced that they're going to be doing the same. Trillions of dollars of real-world assets are moving on-chain. Commodities, real estate, financial instruments. The genie is out of the bottle now, and she ain't going back in. At Davos, nobody argued whether blockchain would transform the financial world. The only argument was who was going to control the rails? And that's the trillion-dollar question, isn't it? Will it be them, or will it be you? Like it or not, the path in front of you is laced with landmines. The biggest landmine of all is centralized systems. Now, I'll give them this. They do one thing right. They make it easy to use. But for that convenience, you pay a high price, namely control. But it gets worse. Did you know that most cybersecurity breaches do not come from tech failures? Nope. Because of AI and deepfakes, it is now 95% of all breaches come from employee error, mostly social engineering. It's a huge problem. Now, centralized systems that handle money, it's no longer a question of if they get hacked, but only when. It's just too big of a target. Now, decentralization promised a better answer. No humans in the middle. No employees running the machine who can get socially engineered. No one to bribe. No one to override you. The problem is there are more landmines ahead in the current decentralized world. These landmines are waiting silently to take you out. I'm going to talk about two of them here this morning: fragmentation and complexity. It's amazing. There are now more than 6,000 blockchains out there and counting, adding daily. And the thing is, none of them were architected to talk to one another. It's like there are thousands of islands out in the Pacific, each of them having their own resources, but they are all in silos, all trapped. And it gets worse because there's no safe and simple way to move assets between them. So if you're not a power user, if you don't have advanced level geek skills, forget about it. You're out. And that's why of the more than 5 billion active Web 2 users out there, less than 1% of them actively use Web 3 decentralized systems. Why? It's because it's too damn hard to use. You got wallet addresses, these hex strings a mile long. You need to try to move assets. You got to use these crazy things called bridges or oracles. And many of those have centralized components within them. You think you're in the decentralized world, but you're actually not. And why is that so bad, these bridges and oracles with centralized components in them? Well, remember, that makes them deeply susceptible to cybersecurity breaches. Remember, 95% of all of those attack vectors are due to employee error. So that means those bridges, those oracles, they get hacked. It's so bad that if you use a bridge with centralized components today, and then 6 months later that bridge gets hacked, you could wake up the next morning and your wallet is drained. Nothing you can do about it. So it's totally understandable why, with a user experience as bad as that, people limp back to centralized systems. I mean, at least they're easy enough to use. So that brings us to a critical moment in time. We are at a real juncture right now. The centralists want to own the future of Web 3. Why? So they can maintain control. So they can lock your account at will. So they can take away the buy button whenever it suits them. Sound familiar? WireWallet is building for the opposite. We are building for the underdog, building so that you stay in control of your assets. In control without anybody else's permission, without somebody in the middle. Now, this isn't about joining an ideology. It's about not giving control back once you finally have it. So what does the right answer actually look like? What is the ideal solution that enables individuals and community to retain control and yet have high security and a great user experience? Well, it needs to be decentralized. If that's table stakes, if we want to maintain control in the individual and the community. It's self-custody, right? Not your keys, not your assets. It's trustless, meaning you don't have to trust another human being to do the right thing. And it's easy. It's got to be easy enough for anybody and everybody to use. And it just works everywhere. That's the ideal solution. The ideal solution doesn't care what blockchain an asset resides on because it works with all of them. It doesn't rely on bridges or oracles or proofs because it doesn't need to. Imagine this. Imagine that you had to know which cloud provider hosted a website before you had to then pick the right browser to work with it. So imagine you're on Chrome and you inadvertently hit a website hosted by Microsoft Azure and you get a big fat error. Sorry, wrong browser, you need to use Microsoft Edge. That would be this is a technical term, a suck-ass user experience. Horrible, right? Now, imagine a new browser shows up, finally, that is compatible everywhere. It just works with every website. No friction. Now you're starting to see what we are building towards. So how do we actually win this battle? Well, we don't do it all at once. We do it community by community. Community brings people together around shared interests, shared goals, and shared values. People don't just show up for tools, they show up for value. Things like education, entertainment, camaraderie, belonging, status, a voice. Now, if you pay people to join, you're just going to get tourists. But if you build meaning, you get loyalty. That's the real on-ramp, not the tech. A community, by its very nature, is decentralized. It doesn't belong to one person. And it shouldn't be owned by a third party or controlled by one with totally different interests. That's why communities are where this all flips. This is the pivot point. Am I allowed to say Wall Street bets anymore? Am I going to get shot by a Reddit attorney? Well, that's just the first example. And it's a hell of an example. But it's not the only one. There are others building in very different contexts. And I'm going to come back to one of them in a minute. You're going to hear about one of them that we're super excited about. It's because the same mechanics that protect a trading community can protect any group, any community that wants to organize, coordinate, and build without middlemen. And that's where this starts to scale. Now, a quick detail that matters. Me being up here didn't start as a sponsorship. This wasn't us showing up with money in our hands asking for a logo moment. Jamie came to us last year, not because of a deck, not because of promises, but because the alignment was already there. Same values, same instincts, same enemy. Now, this only works if it's real. That was clear from our very first conversation. Now, if you want to poke holes in this, or tell me why I'm wrong, come find us later at the charging lounge. It's right on the other side of this wall. There's more stuff over there. Seriously. So just a minute, just talk about what we are building here at WireWallet. When you download it, it's going to look like a wallet, and that's intentional. The point is not that it's magic today. The point is that it's ready for what's coming. It's built for where this is all headed, the future that we want to instantiate. The hard part is already done, and the rest shows up as the world catches up. WireWallet is built to work without you having to care what chain something lives on or how many hops it takes to get there. It's built so complexity starts to disappear instead of piling up on you. It's decentralized by design. It's self-custody, nobody in the middle. Your assets stay yours. No one can freeze them. And not only do we promise not to take away the buy button, we can't take away the buy button. And when you download it, you start earning chips right away, not for trading, not for speculation. You earn them for doing the basics, things like just installing the app and checking in, participating. Now, those chips are going to matter because we plan to launch a WireWallet token that'll have true utility. And you'll be able to use those earned chips to get that token for free. And if you want to see how this all actually plays out, join our Discord community. Go to our website at wirewallet.io. You'll find a link to our Discord there. And you'll find a great community that we are building there. Because we are building this out in the open. And that's WireWallet. This only works if communities are the driver. Tools come second. So the community formerly known as Wall Street Bets is one example. Impact Stream is another. Very different worlds, same need. In both cases, they came to us, not because of incentives, but because they needed infrastructure that didn't put somebody else in control. And my family, we personally support Impact Stream, so this isn't abstract for me. The WireWallet team is legit stoked to partner with them, to support what they are building on the ground. And I don't expect to make a single dime off of our relationship with Impact Stream. That's not the point. The point is giving people around the world the tools to build something for themselves without middlemen and critically, with full transparency. Knowing exactly where the money goes and seeing it in real time. That matters. Now, listen to this. The future is not decentralized by default. It only gets there if people refuse the old trade-offs. And the most dangerous drug in all of finance is something called hopium. Hopium is that fantasy that everything's just going to work out magically all by itself. That fantasy that the people in control today will somehow have your best interests at heart tomorrow. So, if you've got a hopium pipe in your hand, I urge you to put it down. Let me ask you, will you demand systems where you and your community get control and keep control? Or do you assume someone else is going to handle it all for you? So, me as a Gen X engineer, as a kid, of course, my favorite band back in the day was a band called Rush. And from their song Free Will, there's the line, "If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice." Don't be that guy. Choose control for you and for your community. Here's the key. If enough of us do this, we can make it happen. Thank you very much. All right, so I've got a couple of more minutes here because I'm very grateful for the chance to share with you how WireWallet is partnering with ImpactStream, how we are supporting them, and how we are partnering with them. So, in a minute, the co-founder and board chair of ImpactStream is going to join me up here just for a quick conversation on what ImpactStream is and the incredible opportunity that we see how we can help physical communities around the world bootstrap themselves with full transparency and no middlemen, and full control in the hands of each community. So we're going to start playing just a real quick video. It's going to give you an idea of what ImpactStream is. So if we can play that, please.
There are billions of people that are suffering in our world right now. And so it's hard not to ask the question, how can technology, and emerging technology especially, help human beings on our planet right now?
There's so much wrong with nonprofit work, and so much of it can be fixed, or at least helped, with blockchain technology.
How do you remove all the bureaucracy from it? How do you apply as much of the donations to the actual cause?
What if we could allow local people to vote on projects that they submit to help their local communities, that are developed by their local entrepreneurs?
And with ImpactStream, the idea that the community submits the idea, and then the community votes on which ideas to fund first, right? To me, that was like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, I want to be a part of that.
It's better to go to the community and ask them what is the most important need, the things that they will need now.
Having to walk sometimes 10 kilometers to get to fresh water, I still don't even fathom what that would be like.
If we can take the transparency and accountability that is so easy to build with blockchain, but so lacking in nonprofit spaces, and just combine, well, we can solve a problem with amazing technology and that fixes a problem in the nonprofit world.
And by the grace of God, we will get to that point where we will see great change in a small time.
All right, I'd like to welcome up Will Little, the co-founder and board chair of ImpactStream. All right, brother.
Appreciate it.
All right, I've got some questions for you. Well, we'll wait till they get the other one up here. So Will, what's the story behind ImpactStream?
So I've been in this space for about 10 years, and I first got into blockchain when the Mexican government was actually experimenting with Ethereum for social welfare programs. So I started dinking around with this programming language called Solidity, and then I just would go to conference after conference after conference, and people were talking about banking the unbanked and changing the world and all the talking points, but nobody was actually doing anything. So shout out to Kevin Owaki from Gitcoin. He and I and a group of people did a little think tank session about 3 years ago, and we said, hey, reasoning from first principles, what can we actually build right now that would not just change the lives in particular parts of the world in the emerging economies, but that could create a catalytic movement, essentially a decentralized protocol for philanthropy. That's when we came up with the idea, why don't we just let local people in these emerging economies submit proposals in their own language. We built a progressive web app in French, Ewe, the local language, and in English, that allowed the local people to submit proposals. So we got 126 people in West Africa, in the country of Togo, to submit clean water projects, education projects, healthcare, whatever they wanted to see in their community. And then we funded an Ethereum address, and they used quadratic voting to stack rank what they wanted to see done in their local community with their local entrepreneurs. So that created then an ability for a very successful pilot project where we trained the local people on the progressive web app. If you go to West Africa, you'll go to any of these capital cities and you'll have like 100 megabit download speeds and abject poverty everywhere. So they have their little Android phones and they submitted these projects, and we were able to fund with just $70,000, 7 projects that impacted hundreds of families. And we just took 2 terabytes of footage a few months ago, and we're in the process of releasing more and more footage from that. But yeah, our basic philosophy is how do we empower local people to solve their own local problems with their own local entrepreneurs? And blockchain provides the transparency for the operational efficiency to actually change things, to actually bring money into the country and show the provenance of the local people that are solving their own local problems.
Amazing. Amazing, something that personally so excites me, like really truly making an impact here using Web3 tech. Finally, so tell me what makes you excited about the WireWallet partnership with Impact Stream?
So the Togolese government charges 10% for digital transfers. And that's for all e-money applications in the country. And many West African countries and other emerging economies around the world have governments that apply that kind of tax. So this is a practical use case for blockchain tech. Imagine if you were using Cash App or Venmo and you had to, the government took 10% out of every single transaction you did. That's essentially what's going on over there. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And it only makes up a very, very small fraction of their annual budget as a country. So that right now, there are local e-money applications in West Africa that people know when they look at a screen and they see a number, they know it's real. Farmer to farmer, right? Retail business to retail business, they know that that number is a real number. So why not have a wallet? And they're not going to figure out bridging, and they're not Phantom or MetaMask or whatever. It's just, that's not realistic. What is realistic, if there could be one wallet that could trade assets from any blockchain. So I'm speaking tomorrow up here about a new layer for the internet that's going to enable trading functional deeds to assets that are locked up in any blockchain. So a wallet built on top of that so that they can just use it in their local language. And so farmer to farmer, they know that that's a real transaction that's happening, that saves them that money and empowers to connect them to a global digital economy. That's what we're pretty fired up about.
That's awesome. Tell us about the pilot project where Impact Stream went to 7 different villages in Togo.
So we would think that those of us in more developed economies, that it would be things like clean water or healthcare that they would want, Maslow hierarchy of needs, that they would vote up first. But actually the top projects that they voted up above clean water and above healthcare was education. So the #1 project that they voted up was said, hey, we want to help educate our adults to learn the local languages and to level up into different types of emerging technologies. The #2 project was, we want to help our youth get jobs in textile manufacturing. And the #3 project was, we want to help create funding for a local community library so that adults and youngsters alike could educate themselves. And then it was a clean water project, and then it was equipment for an elementary school, and then it was equipment for a clinic. And then once those 6 projects got done, an NFT community, shout out to the Quirkies, They came and funded another clean water well. Again, these were local entrepreneurs with local well drilling businesses that did all this work. Because if I see another broken well in Africa or any emerging part of the world that's being used by kids as a playground because a well-meaning NGO came in there and built it, but didn't actually think about the sustainability of it to fix and repair and all that, I'm probably gonna lose my mind. So we can do something about that.
That is just amazing. And I am so blown away by what Impact Stream is doing, because they're going in, not telling them what they need to do, what they need to change, but empowering them to identify their own local entrepreneurs amongst them, and then choosing what project would be most impactful. Who's gonna know that more than them? You know, not the Westerners, whatever, it's them. Just so amazing. Tell us about your plans for 2026 with Impact Stream.
So we are releasing, by generous help of WireWallet and their engineers, they're donating our second build. So our V2 of our product will allow multiple rounds, like we did our pilot round in Togo, multiple rounds to be happening simultaneously. And I would love to partner with you all if you're involved in any NGO or nonprofit work anywhere around the world, especially emerging economies, but we can work anywhere. And this application will allow us to, one, our second rounds, we're going to be funding entrepreneurs with zero interest loans and be doing development projects at the same time. And we can run rounds in any geography and or impact vertical. So I've been involved in anti-trafficking for 15 years in America, horrific problem in the United States. You can just say, pick an impact vertical, pick a geography, and then based on trust networks, we're not trying to solve Sybil attacks and do that. Others are tackling that problem, which is great. But we're solving a very particular problem, which is through trust networks, allow local people to solve their own local problems, where we can move money on chain and then have that transparency and operational efficiency based on metadata that's put into the transactions.
Amazing. So if someone felt led to partner with Impact Stream, what's the best way that they could help run around? Yeah,
so the trust network is key. So I talk with many of you, and you're involved with some NGO doing some kind of vertical and geography around the world. We would love to run around with you. We can help you raise money as long as you're letting the local people run the round. Choose and quadratic vote what they actually want to see, and that's done in a way that prevents corruption or prevents collusion or cartel type activity. There's a lot we can talk about that, but we'd love to partner with folks that are doing that type of work.
Yeah, and I'm really excited leading WireWallet, because we're going to build that out, build the tools for that to make it super easy for others to do that and make an impact all over the world. So how can someone partner on a financial level?
Yeah, so we have impactstream.eth, and if you run a marketplace or anywhere that's willing to do the kind of roundup for charity thing, that would be amazing, because it would be on chain, and then we're going to provide sort of drop downs so that if your donors want to give to a particular impact vertical or geography, they can do that. And then they can track it all on chain so they can see where the money is going. We're even in talks with different forms of governments around the world that might be using this to distribute tax dollars. So both the government space and the NGO space is where we're looking to make an impact.
Amazing. I also strongly suspect that we will also build means into WireWallet to be able to, if you wanted to round up or give to this amazing group here. So what are your biggest needs this year?
So we are actually in the hunt for a CEO. And I say CEO and not executive director on purpose. This is a 501c3 in America and registered NGO in the areas that we're going to work. But we're looking for a very unique individual who has a background in philanthropy and international development, who understands as much crypto native as possible, who's able to be a fundraising machine, and understands that we're building with you in the WireWallet team a tech product that we're hoping to create a catalytic movement so donors around the world and taxpayers around the world say, you know what? We want this transparency. We demand this transparency if we're going to give to your organization or we're going to pay our taxes. So that's the goal.
Amazing. Last question. Any opportunities for volunteering?
Yes, please come to our website. We have a Discord server. We're ramping up as we get our new CEO and executive team in place. Thanks to a number of generous donors, we have plenty of money in the bank. It's rare for an NGO or nonprofit to say that. So we are looking for both executive team members and volunteers to participate kind of across the board to get the word out and land additional partnerships.
All right. Website is impact.stream. We are personally supporting that. We think it's amazing. And what an amazing way that some of the initial promises of blockchain technology, there were hopes that something like this could happen, and to see it actually happening now is just is absolutely amazing. So thank you very much, Will.
Yeah, appreciate it, David.
Guys, got any questions? You know where to find us.
All right,
Thank you
thanks,
very
everybody.
much.